With apologies to René Descartes, thinking is just not enough. You should only believe and truly trust what you experience firsthand. That's why I've modified his famous axiom. This is me at the Berlin Wall right after it came down. I hammered and chiseled away at it myself and still have plenty of the loot. I've traveled to more than 150 countries, everywhere I've ever wanted to go. In college, my friends started calling me Paragistan. I love to translate my research into novel cartography, sometimes animated maps and visualizations. And I recently founded a geospatial data science company called AlphaGeo. Before that, I wrote a half-dozen books about how complex systems interact with geography, the most recent of which is Move. And it's really about the physics of human geography. What happens when an unstoppable force, migration, meets an immovable object, borders? Which force will prevail, flow or friction? Right now, all of the drivers of human migration are in overdrive because of geopolitical turmoil, labor shortages, economic and technological displacement, and climate change. And despite what we hear about nationalism, protectionism, populism, xenophobia, in fact, there is an intense war for talent that is underway around the world. Over the past decade, there's been an explosion in the number of RBI, CBI, Golden Visa, digital nomad programs. In the mid-2010s, I began working with quite a few governments to help them streamline their immigration and residency requirements to make them more attractive. In the UAE, this became the Golden Visa, for example. It's expected that 2.6 million people are going to relocate this year. They're all up for grabs. And smart countries are catering and tailoring and customizing their programs to capture this mobile talent pool. They all realize that collecting people is collecting power. Of those 2.6 million, about 150,000 are millionaires. And you can see a new geography of wealth emerging as these high net worth individuals and their families ditch old centers of wealth for new ones. Together with Henley and Partners, AlphaGeo is soon releasing a global investment risk and resilience index that ranks destinations according to certain criteria like stability and economic factors. America has historically been the great magnet for talent, but it now has a sizable diaspora of its own. This really took off with the global financial crisis 20 years ago and accelerated through Trump and with COVID. The total number of Americans abroad now totals about 7 million people, with the largest numbers being in Mexico, Canada, and the Philippines. But the fastest growth has actually come in Europe, which is now heavily recruiting US-based talent. So Americans are making Europe great again. And their credo, though, isn't liberty, fraternity, equality. It's more like liquidity, mobility, and optionality. Already, there are more than 300 million people living outside their country of origin, the highest number ever, and I expect it to surge. It's particularly South Asians that not only dominate the demographics of the Gulf countries, but are increasingly visible in Canada and in Europe, where a whole new generation of Asian Europeans is coming of age. So the more you travel, the more you see that the future really is brown. So people are on the move like never before, yet crossing borders is the most over-bureaucratized dimension of globalization. That's why we need the passportal. The principle underlying the passportal is that your identity belongs to you, and you can assemble the key components of your societal identity into a secure blockchain ID wallet. With almost every human being having a mobile phone and access to the internet, now is the time to build a better identity mobility nexus. So think of the passportal as identity as a service meets mobility as a service. It's the instrument for becoming a sovereign individual on the internet. The passportal is how we'll connect people to opportunity at a global scale. This is about most effectively matching supply and demand for labor, something that could easily boost GDP by 25%. We're going to launch the passportal next year with pilot origin and destination countries. It's going to be it's going to wrap key technologies into the secure blockchain wallet. You build a secure user profile, you update your photo and biometrics, you update the information that almost all countries require. We'll use ZK two-way knowledge protocols for the collection of credentials and attestations. There's plenty of ways to monetize the Passportal. Individuals will pay a fixed base user fee based upon the number of applications that they lodge. Governments and companies will benefit by listing in the marketplace to get the workers they need. Corporates will have an AI matchmaking system so that the people they want in the locations they want can apply. Governments can massively streamline their vetting of applications and issue e-visas and cut back on the billions of dollars they spend on consular services. So this is a foundational platform on which many other services can be added: insurance, relocation services, healthcare, remittances, skills training. There are going to be many ways to partner with Passportal such that it can serve you and serve humanity. So if you want to learn more, we're going to have a web page up very soon. Please join us, and thank you very much.